Hey guys, so today I got several updated news. First thing first, from the local stories article, clinic in district Trump won by over 50 points shutdown due to Medicaid cuts. So this was from July 5th, 2025. This relates to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that was not only passed in Congress by the House and the Senate, they both passed it, but Trump also signed it into law. Part of the deal with the One Big Beautiful Bill is that it's going to cut funding for Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, SNAP, all these type of programs that are needed for people who don't have much money and are low income, have disabilities, etc. Needed that survive. So that is going to get all cut down. I'm sure Trump and the other Republicans are gonna switch this and blame the Democrats. Part of the reason why this is gonna happen, if it hasn't happened yet, is because it will take effect during the midterm election and the 2028 January election. So keep that in mind when Trump starts saying that, oh, or other Republicans are saying, oh, this is the fault of Democrats. This is why Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, SNAP, etc., are being cut down and these hospitals are being closed down. Because of them, look how they screw up the economy because the Republicans do this all the time. It's a cycle. If people are really smart, they'll educate themselves and realize that Republicans lie all the time and will actually go out of their way to educate themselves to make sure they're not being fooled by these right wingers who are completely lying to them. So just to inform you guys, and I'm gonna inform you guys again in the future, near future really, that once it comes to voting, you vote strategically and remember what Republicans have done. So if you live in a red state like Arizona, Florida, Texas, Mississippi, etc., remember these things so you don't vote Republican. If you keep voting for Republican, I better not hear you complain because that's what is gonna end up happening. So a lot of hospitals in rural areas across the nation are going to be closed down. In which areas have the hardest time surviving when this funding for Medicaid, etc., pretty much disappear, are going to be in the red states. So a lot of red states have rural hospitals that only exist because of funding from Medicaid, because those people cannot afford to have operations or any other medical service without Medicaid. And because a lot of them are not getting the funding enough to keep the hospital operating, they're gonna have to close down. If they make a profit, they're gonna get rid of it. A lot of those hospitals are not owned by the state; they're private based or non-profit based. If it's non-profit, they heavily rely on funding to even exist. If it's private, they need to make a profit. If it's owned by the government, profit-driven mentality should not exist. It's the whole purpose of the government to ensure protection for the general public and that all the services you need to get by on a daily basis and beyond can be provided to you via paying your taxes. It should not be for profit driven. There's a problem when you have a businessman, aka Trump, treating the government like it's a business. So this is what the article is basically about. Because a lot of these areas that have been voted for Trump are gonna get screwed so bad, really, really bad. And this is something people give warning. Even Harris, right? Kamala Harris, she gave multiple warnings about what Trump would do, and people didn't listen. And she clearly explained it, very plain language style. So, a rural healthcare clinic in Curtis, Nebraska, is set to close its doors with its CEO signing steep federal Medicaid cuts in President Donald Trump's 2026 budget legislation as a key factor. We know it's the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The whole point of that bill, the main point, besides cutting all the funding for these programs, is to give a huge tax break to the rich, the wealthy, multimillionaires, billionaires, or the ones you can call oligarchs, if you want to go that far. But to keep it simple, millionaires and billionaires, they're going to benefit from that bill. So they talk about here the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which was passed on July 3rd, 2025, or is signed by Trump in July 4th, 2025, Independence Day. Keep that in mind. They all do this on purpose. And all the significant cuts on Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, SNAP, etc., are going to impact a lot of low income households. People who live in blue state, aka states controlled by Democratic leaders or candidates, are going to be the ones that are going to do the best right now to survive the best. Red states, which are controlled by Republican candidates, politicians, are not going to do so well. So this is why this will be something I'll be talking about very frequently to keep reminding people so that anyone who watches this video remember that, oh crap, the Republicans are the one who passed this bill. Democrats all were against it, every single one in Congress. That were Democrats. They voted to not move forward with it. Every single Republican basically did for the most part. Pretty much like 98, 97% of them did. I think the House only two Republicans didn't move forward with it. Every other Republican did. That's practically almost 100%. So keep in mind, I'm going to be talking about this over and over with upcoming elections that happen in many places. Because it's very important to keep that in mind because this is important. This is not a joke. Next article from The Hill from July 5th, 2025. Florida Democrats deny entry to Alligator Alcatraz after Trump visit. So, if not, it's illegal. They're not allowing Democrats who are elected officials. We voted for them, right? Wherever place you live. Obviously, I'm living in Florida. I refuse to live in a red state, but as in general, as a group, right? If you're eligible to vote, you voted for them, right? And now they can even go and do a check to make sure that detention center is treating the immigrants correctly and fairly without uh, violating the cruel and unusual punishment amendment. So we gotta keep that in mind, the Eighth Amendment. So that's illegal to not allow these Democrats to go there and check. Why are Republicans allowed to do it, but not Democrats? That's fascism. Technically, those Democrats could bring state police and force their way through because they're allowed to do that. So prevent them from not doing this is a big, big issue. So they will deny entrance, even though it's a new migrant detention center for immigrants that have been detained and put there. Some of them might be citizens, for all we know. No due process, all they know. So it's a problem. They want to do for safety reasons, check and see what's going on, but they won't allow them. That's illegal. Florida law gives legislators the authority to make unannounced visits to state-run facilities to inspect conditions and check on the well-being of the people inside. I have served in the legislature for 13 years, and this has never happened. So imagine that. Florida itself allows legislatures to do this to make sure everything's running okay, that people being treated well, not like an object, not like they're a slave, right? But instead, they're preventing Democrats from going in. The only people trying to fight for the basic rights of citizens and residents. Yeah, this is a problem, and people are still not taking this seriously. Next article, this from MSN website from about a week ago. Governor Josh Shapiro, that's the governor of Pennsylvania, PA, said he's not sure SNAP will be able to exist in Pennsylvania under President Trump's mega bill. That's a that's a one big beautiful bill act. So if you still don't know why this is serious, it's impacting many, many states. Keep in mind that Pennsylvania ended up overall voting for Trump into presidency and some Republicans into Congress. So, but they voted for Trump and JD Vance. So this is a problem. Now they're getting the ass kicked, and the Governor Shapiro, doesn't know if they'll be able to provide any food assistance to a lot of people in need because of the cuts to the funding needed to be able to keep running those programs. So SNAP, Medicaid, etc. A lot of states are not going to survive this. So I'm going to scroll down so you guys can read in more detail, but that's basically the gist of the article. Next article from Maidus Press website. This from July 5th, 2025. Texas officials blame NC gutted by Trump for results of deadly storm. So we already know that the National Weather Service and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration have all been dismantled by Trump, cutting the funding dramatically, getting rid of staff, and basically making them completely useless. You know, right? Using Doge as a reason to get rid of them, to save money, even though that Trump has just added more to the deficit, trillions of dollars more, as he did the first time. So it makes no sense. And yet people keep voting for Republicans. It's funny, but it's not funny. So all the situations that have been happening in Texas and all the states where they're having people dying from floods and all the natural disasters, because they gutted the agency and departments that work to prevent that from happening, so that as many people can be saved and not die. And unfortunately, they don't have the fund to keep going. So before people try to blame Democrats, keep in mind that all this funding being gutted by the Republicans so that all taxpayer money goes to the rich and wealthy, not to these programs like FEMA, National Weather Service, etc. So I just want to keep that in mind for people who don't understand why this voting matters and why You have to be very careful who you choose to be part of Congress, presidency, local legislature, state legislature, governor, etc. Next article from July 1st, 2025. This from Yahoo News. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy says AI will probably mean fewer jobs after 27,000 people have already been cut from its workforce. So Amazon, like many private companies and the federal government also at this point, have been firing people as much as they can. It's worse in the private sector though, because at least some people are hard to find in the federal government, and then they have been under paid leave for several months already, since February or March, or at least since as early, let's say, as like May. So a lot of people are still getting paid if they're permanent employees. But in the private sector, they've just been firing people like no tomorrow. Tens of thousands of people being fired, and it's a big problem. And they're trying to claim it's because of AI. We know what they're doing. They're using AI as an excuse, but they're outsourcing those jobs to other countries like India, Brazil, China, Vietnam, etc., so they can save money. So instead of paying someone maybe 100K plus as a software engineer, they pay someone 30,000 or less to do the same job, maybe 50,000 at most. Even those people are not as good as the job in the job, they don't care. It's all about, oh, looks like on paper you have enough skill, let's hire them. They get rid of the people who actually have knowledge, they understand the processes in Amazon system and all the software, etc. But getting rid of them, now you got to start from scratch, just save money. It really sucks. And in the end, it's not really saving us, the average person, any money. So keep that in mind for people who are planning to work for these private sector companies. You're gonna get screwed. Something else I want to talk about really quick from CBS News. This one, July 5th, 2025. College and unemployment surge as employers. Sorry about that. As employers replace new hires with AI. It just means that what this video was talking about was basically that a lot of college students who just graduated in really the last 2 years or so, but especially this year, they claim that AI is replacing entry level jobs. The reality is they're outsourcing those entry level jobs. Some jobs are hard to outsource, and obviously AI is really a tool right now. Can really replace people completely for the most part, but you can outsource those entry level jobs, and that could be the excuse of fully remote schedules just for someone who's outsourced making half the salary they will be making in the US. I watched a little bit of this video so you guys get a little bit more detail about it.
The unemployment rate for new college grads has recently surged, and some economists say businesses are now replacing entry level jobs with artificial intelligence. Here's CBS's Ali Bauman. 22-year-old Michael Macaluso just earned his degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Connecticut. Okay. But this summer, he's back helping manage his hometown pool. He hasn't found a job in his field despite applying for nearly 200 positions. Did you have any expectations about what the job market would be like when you graduated? I was told.
So, just to give you a little idea, basically, a lot of these people who just graduate, who are 22, 23, whatever case may be, early 20s usually, are really struggling to find a job related to the major, right? Related to the degree. My recommendation, I'll make a more video about this. I've done some, but not too many yet. Um, don't just focus on getting a job purely related to your field. All right. If you have a degree in engineering, biology, chemistry, physics, STEM degree, or business degree like business administration, finance, or social science degree like public administration, criminal justice, criminology, psychology, or let's say the arts, like just general humanities degree, liberal arts, or maybe have something music, acting, etc., or theater. One way you can get a job, apply for entry level jobs that don't require experience. Good way to do this is local, state, and federal government jobs. In this case, more local and state government jobs are safer. You can get the experience. You can start as a personnel trainee in many different local, state, and departments with no experience. Doesn't mean they don't have preferences. They do, but when they need to fill up a vacancy and they don't have many, there might not be as much competition. Or they have more leeway how to hire, and they need someone right away. You could be potentially hired. You could take a few months, obviously, but you could be hired working as a personnel assistant, right? As a trainee, personnel assistant trainee or personnel trainee, and start working way from the bottom to the top, so you can still find a way to get a job. That's just a tip. Don't just focus on, oh, my degree doesn't relate to HR. I want to do engineering. You gotta be a little bit flexible, and maybe you might be able to get a job related to a degree. If not, you can still have a career in the HR field. That's just an idea. It could be investigator time, investigator training. The government, you can start working as an entry level with practically almost any degree for many jobs in local state for local state agencies and departments. A lot of those local state government agencies and departments are willing to train you from scratch as long as the entry level training title. Keep that in mind. That happens to a lot of people. I know people with degrees in music that work as investigator at the same state department I work at right now, and now they are like chiefs, like chief investigators, stuff like that. It is possible. Just an idea. Now, this from June 2025. This is from AD Employment Report website, ADP Employment Report.com. So private employers shared 33,000 jobs just in June alone. Can guarantee it's more than that, but this is what they know of. This relates to the previous article and video I was talking about college grads being unemployed. It's not just them. So this is a data they've been showing, changing U.S. private employment and how things have really changed over time. National industry base right here, establishing size and region. So very interesting seeing this and how some people are really having a hard time getting jobs. Um, Interesting and something for people to know. Usually good fields to get into right now. Construction is a big on construction. So become project manager or operating engineer, stuff like that. Or healthcare, become a nurse, dermatologist, physical assistant, etc. Those are things to think about what fields you might be able to go to if you think you're able to handle it. Change by establishing size, small, 1 to 19 employees, mid-size, so 29,000, mid-size employees, 50 to 40, 249, 12,000 up. It's just interesting idea to look at this data so you guys have an idea of what's going on. In these type of fields, change by industry, these fields are doing well. Natural resources and mining, construction, manufacturing, trades, transportation, utilities, services, information. Financial activities, not so much. Professional businesses, not so much. Education, health services, have been going down. But healthcare, depending on what field, is still doing well, like nursing. Leisure and hospitality, yeah, it's going up, but keep in mind those jobs tend to be low pay. All the services, vague. That's not so helpful. That could be generally retail or fast food, and those are in general low pay jobs. It's hard to make good money because it's hard to get the good paying jobs. And a lot of times, the businesses close down, especially if they're local. Retail store, local restaurants, they usually close down over time even quicker. Just to give a quick heads up that this is not your imagination, why you might be struggling to find a job. There's statistics behind this. And there's a reason why this is happening. It's all due to companies using AIs and skills to outsource the job somewhere else, like to India, China, Brazil, Mexico, etc. Not saying those people should not get a job, but I do think that companies that are doing business in the US should hire American citizens first, and then green card holders in the US, so US residents with green card second, and then third could be residents in U.S. residents with H-1B visas, for instance. It should be like that. That's my opinion, to make things fair. But I'm not the one making the laws. You guys let me know if you agree to that or not. All right, guys. So if you like this video, like and subscribe. And like I said, write in the comment section whatever you feel about everything discussed today, especially the situation of the one big beautiful bill and how that has been impacting you, if at all, or how you think it's going to impact you in the near future. Um, If you like this video, like and subscribe. Watch this on TikTok, follow us on TikTok, and you can support us with the Patreon by joining our Patreon. It's $1 per month at least to help us out. All right, guys, have a safe day.